In this tutorial, we're going to go over a few things about how to use cloning appropriately and how to distinguish between a clone, instance, and reference, and when it's appropriate to use them. So I'm going to go ahead and maximize my perspective viewport. And I'm going to draw a teapot. 3 teapots, actually. And I can go to the Modify tab and adjust my radius. So we'll just make these all 10. By adjusting the number of segments in each teapot, it will adjust the number of detail, the amount of detail, I should say. So notice I now have more polygons to work with versus this was 4 before. It just smooths out all the edges. Alright, and I'll change the color of each one of these teapots just so we can get a good idea of what we're working with here. Alright, that looks good. I like to get in the habit of naming all my teapots as well. So the blue teapot is going to be the clone example. The green teapot will be the instance example. And this yellow will be the reference example. Okay. So starting off with the cloning, I'm going to hold down my shift key and drag along the x-axis. And when I let go, I have my cloning options, and I can make a copy, instance, or reference. So I'm going to do a copy, and I want to copy it twice. And as you see here, clone 001 automatically pops up, and this will be clone 002. So all of your numbering will adjust for you. What a clone is it's a unique copy of your first teapot here. So anything that I do to each one of these teapots is going to be unique. It's not going to have an effect on any other teapot. So for example, if I add the twist, it's not letting me type it in. If I add a twist modifier to this teapot, notice that it does not do anything to the other teapots. I can do a spherify on this one, and it's not doing anything. Alright, so each one of these clones are unique. A little bit differently, if I go over to my instance clone, I'm going to again hold down the shift key. Now I'm going to select instance, and I'm again going to make 2 copies. Excuse me, just saving you some keystrokes here. And if I apply a twist modifier, notice that it's going to apply to each one of the teapots. Alright, so what happens to one happens to all of them. If I click on the second teapot, my twist modifier also shows up. Same with my third teapot here. Alright, so they're all taking on the same characteristics. And finally, hold down your shift key again with your reference example. You guessed it, 2 copies. And let's go ahead and keep it consistent and add another twist modifier. And again, with reference, it's going to make changes to all of your teapots. But think about this first teapot as the master. So any changes that you make to this one is going to be made to the other ones. Alright. That one's kind of funky. However, if I go to my second teapot and I go and add an edit poly, and I select a few polygons here, notice no other polygons are being selected on any other teapot. So what's happening here is that this is good for working with like a massive amount of objects. If you want to make a couple unique here and there, making references would be great. Just make sure you're using proper labeling so you know which teapot is the master one that's going to control all of the other teapots. So I'll go ahead and add an edit poly to the master teapot, and you'll see that it will also change the other ones. Just like that. Alright, so just to go over this one more time, clones are totally unique objects. They have nothing to do with one another. They are just clones, replicas of your original teapot. The instant teapots that we made second, these guys are the ones that when you do something to one, it's going to affect the rest. And with our reference teapots, you have a master teapot that any modifier you add to it or any changes that you make are going to affect the other ones. However, you can go and make changes to any other teapot to make unique changes to those. Alright, as long as we have our teapots here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can group these teapots together. So all I did here was I held down my control key and I clicked each teapot, and I know that they're selected because they have been outlined in white. And I'm going to go up to group and create group, and this can be my clone. Alright, so when I select these teapots, they're all selecting at once and I can move them together. I can do the same thing with my instances. Go to group, group, and I can name this an instance group. And I could do the same thing with the reference. If I want to ungroup these, if I decide that I don't want them to move together anymore, I can simply just select the group and go up to my group tab and ungroup. Alright, pretty easy stuff. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box. Thank you.